Hey everyone, welcome to The Beekeeper's Wife. I'm Joy, the beekeeper's wife, and
I'm Evan, the beekeeper's son.
We're really lucky today because we can both talk about the branding and marketing for Sweet Sadie Honey Farm. And we've evolved over time, but the first thing we really had to do is come up with a name and a theme. And Sweet Sadie was a very sweet golden retriever who never had issues with bees, could hang around the hives, and for some reason she just had a pact with them. So it was really ideal that we would name it after Sadie. And then along came our other dog after we lost Sadie, Maddie. She is a short-haired dog and really doesn't like to go near the beehives, and once she did, she was scared to death. So things did not go well, and she hasn't gone near them since. It's a habanero infused honey. We named it Mad Dog Honey, even though most of the time we call her Sweet Pea and not Mad Dog. But it's a perfect label for that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that label. But Evan, why don't you go ahead and talk about some of the basics of how we developed our brand?
It's pretty simple as long as you kind of stick to brand guidelines. One of the first things you want to think about is the color. So we chose the color purple because it mixes well with our honey. You can see the honey is a nice golden color, so purple against that is going to be the best option. We make sure that we have the right hex code. A hex code is going to be 6 digits, and that's what you're going to use for digital colors. You can always find that in RGB as well, so once you find your main color, make sure you have the hex code and the RGB for it so you never change. It's also good to make a color palette. So yeah, the purple goes great with the golden honey, but what if we want something other than purple? We also chose yellow that matches perfectly as well. So you can see that we've got the purple, the yellow, and then white usually goes with anything as well. You also want to make sure that you think about what kind of fonts that you're going to use. So we use Brevia and mixes of it, and we kind of adjust it depending on what we need to do. And you can see for the logo, we've used Brevia and kind of moved some of the font edges a little bit. And that was just something that we did personally. But whenever we have something like our signs, we will make sure and try to use Brevia when we can. That way, everything looks consistent and we're sticking to our main brand guidelines.
And like I said, the logos and the labels have evolved over time. And interestingly enough, I have the original Mad Dog Honey in the original bottle, which is a little bit different. Now everything's sealed and much better looking. And we did learn that we were printing the labels in-house, and when we went to a market on a hot summer day and we realized people were holding them like this, there was so much ink on the label that we really had to change that. So now we printed them all professionally with a local printer who does a fabulous job, who happens to be a beekeeper too. So now people can hold them and nothing's coming off on those things. We also learned that with the basic label, which we do print ourselves, but it's a waterproof label, and that helps quite a bit with that. And same thing with the lip balm. Those are also waterproof, so that's helped quite a bit. So, but yeah, it's like from this to this has been quite interesting.
It's always helpful to iterate and kind of play with your design and your brand as you go along, but also make sure that you're staying consistent along the entire way. You'll see it's like even as we change across products, we try and stay with the Sweet Sadie Honey brand. And we only divert when we go to a very specific product like the Mad Dog. So even on the Sweet Sadie ones, everything has a purple border with the Sadie logo in the middle. You can see we've got the purple border on all of these other products with the Sadie logo somewhere on the labeling itself.
Sometimes we do change it up a bit, and I can kind of tell you a little bit. There's a summer sampler, so it's our little sampler packet of all kinds of honey. And this summer sampler has the same Brevia logo, but it's a little bit different because it's just a themey thing, kind of changing it up a bit. And then for the holidays, we have definitely changed everything too. So we took Mad Dog in her Christmas hat, and we'll give a close-up of these, and then we do something for fall, but we keep the Sweet Sadie Honey logo in everything as far as that goes. Now, these things that I do in-house, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
So we do all of this in-house, and that is just us based on our skills and what we already have available to us. Even just setting up the booth, we wanted to make sure everything was what we wanted it to look like in the very end. So we started with small sketches, and then when we actually knew what we wanted, we actually did a 3D model of it, just so we could see all of the stuff in the right space. Now, we're not saying go learn 3D modeling and design your setups beforehand, but it's really helpful because you're able to actually see how your brand will come together once you actually have it out there in the world.
It started off with a sketch on, a napkin kind of thing. But it was nice then when we went to the printer with the banner design, it all made sense and he had something to work with, so that was great. Same thing with the labeling, but Evan did that and he has a little more skills. So when it comes to, fitting labels and really doing the graphic design, Evan's done that because he has more skills than me. I'm just the beekeeper's wife.
Don't discount yourself.
But with that, there are some ways. I use Canva, which is a really inexpensive way to do some graphic design, and you can resize everything, and it's very, very helpful, and it will bring in your fonts and those colors that everyone was talking about, so you can keep consistency through everything. And then I've been using a Cricut to print. And we also internally got a different kind of printer because we do use a lot of ink. They are the tank printers. So those are very, very helpful, and we're not buying a print cartridge every time we have a market or we have a big product sale.
So a lot of these programs are free. You mentioned Canva. There is a free option for it. And if you even look out online, there's a bunch of free graphic design options out there as well. You can even do this stuff inside Word or Google Docs or PowerPoint or Keynote, whatever you have just on your computer. You can just design something really simply. And if you stay with those brand guidelines, you use the same fonts and you use your same colors, you can keep it very simple and it'll look very professional, even though you just used free stuff to actually put it all together. I use professional software, Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator. For videos, I'm using Premiere and After Effects. I use Dimension to model everything, but you don't need to do all of that stuff because there are free options out there. We also do these stickers as an example. And while, you can see I designed them specifically so that they would look good with the nice borders and actually follow the branding, you could also do this on the sticker site. So if you go and want to get stickers for yourself, you can actually go and use their web platform and just have everything available for you.
So these are the things that we use for the market to keep things consistent and keep the labeling appropriate, but also on the website and any socials that are out there, like YouTube, for example, that follows the same guidelines, the same fonts, the same colors, and everything is consistent. So when you see Sweet Sadie Honey, you know it's Sweet Sadie Honey.
Exactly. Once again, these are just suggestions. This is how we have done branding, and we've done it over the past few years with this business. This is not obviously a college course in branding and marketing. This is just kind of simplifying what seems like a very intense topic for a lot of people. Boil it down to the main bullet points and make sure that it's easy for you to do, because really anybody can do this.
Right, and you can keep your product unique so it doesn't look like every other honey vendor that's out there, because it's easy to buy labels, and a lot of times you'll see repetitive labels, but try out some things that work for you, because there are a lot of options out there and you don't have to be a computer whiz to make it happen. We hope that you got a tip from this video, and remember that we did do a walkthrough of our booth in an earlier video. So take a look at that if you hadn't seen that, so you can look and see how it actually looks. We'll post some videos out there too in this. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.